The Pro Show is brought to you by Rockin' Media and our proprietary Flash HDR photo process, providing you with the best, most realistic photos of your property. See the difference at rockinmedia.com. Welcome to the Pro Show. Hi, I'm Rick Machle. We have a great show for you today. Have you ever wondered whether you should sell during the holidays and what are the things you need to consider? Well, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about how to stage a bathroom, because you would think, well, it's just a bathroom. No, you need to do a lot of things to make that bathroom great and be presentable when you go to sell. In addition, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the market along the Colorado Front Range, and we have some great homes for sale. Nancy will be here to talk about mortgages, and Greg's talking about rentals. That's next on The Pro Show. And today we have three great agents from around the metro area. To begin with, she hasn't been with us for a while, but Dawn Zalfa is joining us from the Evergreen office, the Coldwell Banker Evergreen office. Hi, Dawn. How are things going?
Hi, things are going well. They're actually picking up in the fourth quarter, but we'll talk about that later.
That's great. And Lori Delaney is out of the North Metro office. Hi, Lori.
Hi there.
Lori was with us last week, and I think the week before that as well, so it's great having you back. And then we also have Heather Maddox from the Parker office, and it's great. This is her second time on the show. It's great to have her back with us today, and awesome to have all of you with us. Everything good with you, Heather?
Yes, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This is awesome. Well, let's get started. We are continuing our look at the Denver Metro stats for October. I know we're almost through with November, but it's a great time to review what's going on. And this is a great graph that the Denver Metro Association of Realtors puts out, and it usually comes out about mid-month. And this is awesome because it shows us year over year, which I think is a lot more beneficial than month over month because we have such seasonal changes in this metro area and from month to month. So I'm going to go through a few of these. The active listings is up 13.4% to 14,718. Under contracts, this is great, are up 22% as relative to the same time last year to 4,489. New listings are also up 20%. Last year, they were fairly low in October at 4,847, and this year they're at 5,860. And then sold listings are up 12.4% from the same time last year of 4,382 sold this year versus 3,897 last year. And then the days on market is up 32% from 37 to 49. The median sales price is up 2.6% to $585,000 from $570,000 last year. The median sales price is up to $585,000, which is a 2.6% increase from $570,000 a year ago. And then the average sales price is up 1.1% to $693,436 from $686,124 a year ago. So I think that's really good news. What do you guys think? Dawn, how are things up in the mountains? We haven't talked to you in a while.
Well, the third quarter was slow, I have to say. Days on market were much, much longer than they normally are. Third quarter is usually very, very busy up here, but we didn't find that to be the case. However, nice surprise was the fourth quarter is picking up. I'm seeing more new listings coming up. I'm seeing buyers kind of coming out of the woodwork. Even for some of my listings that have been on the market for a while, I'm getting showings that I did not get during the third quarter. So I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful.
Well, and of course, this is always a slower time for the mountain communities anyway, because people are starting to think about, the holidays and everything else. So like with everybody, but it's also, people living up here, people tend to think of moving to the mountains more in springtime. So it's good that they're picking up this time of year. That's unusual. So that's great. Heather, what's going on down in the southeast part of town?
I'm seeing a lot of activity picking up on my listings ever since the election closed. It seemed like people decided, okay, the world didn't stop after all, and now we can move on with our plans. So I got a buyer under contract this weekend. I have a contract coming on a listing today. So I'm hopeful that the market is swinging up again. But third quarter, agree, it was very quiet.
Well, third quarter, we had a lot of new listings coming on because I think people were starting to finally say, oh, now that the interest rates have stabilized or gone down a little, they bounced around, maybe this is time to get the house on the market. So you would think, Heather, that this would be the time that you'd start to see some of those, that activity paying off as far as people getting into those homes, correct?
Yeah, I think they're more optimistic that, rates have inched up a little bit. But I think they realize that this might be the norm for a while. Or they're hopeful that the election might have changed some things or might be changing things down the pipeline and they want to be ready. So a lot of buyers have started contacting me saying, we're going to be ready in the spring. We're going to be ready probably in February. So I think they're going to be coming out of the gate with a really strong
first quarter,
spring season. Yeah, first quarter. I think it's going to be really good.
How about you, Lori?
I actually agree that it was somewhat of a slow third quarter, except for the last month. I started seeing things really pick up end of August, 1st of September, and September and October were pretty busy for me. I would say I was very busy up until the election, and then it's been a little bit of a lull since the election. But a lot of my people say, just like Dawn was saying, they're kind of holding off till the first quarter. And I think we're going to see an unusually busy first quarter come forward, because everybody that didn't get quite their homes ready to list fourth quarter, they are going to come out of the gates running.
Well, this is a time that people are probably thinking about going on the market or possibly going on the market. So let's talk about what you do when you go on the market and what decisions need to be made if you decide to do it during the holidays. So your landlord goes bankrupt and you're wondering what happens to you and your lease. Well, we have Rick Machle here from Real Property Management to tell us what happens and whether it makes a difference and what your rights are. So Greg, tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a great question, Rick. So the interesting part is, obviously, since the housing market has been so robust for the past decade plus, we have not had to deal with the issue of foreclosures hardly at all. People have had so much equity in their home that they ran into some form of financial hardship. They would just turn it over to an amazing coastal banker agent and sell the property. The challenge that we're now running into is there are folks over the past couple of years that don't have the kind of equity in the property that they may have once had if they bought it 10 years ago versus 2 years ago. And now all of a sudden we're starting to see some foreclosure activity again. So in that event that happens, as soon as the landlord gives you notice or a notice gets posted on the door from the county assessor's office or another property management company would give you a heads up on that, your best option as a tenant is find another place and get yourself moved, because that particular home, unless it gets remedied somehow, is going to go back to the bank. And if that is indeed the case, then the bank gets to determine what they're going to do with it at that point. The lease moves on, gets rendered null and void, et cetera. It's a very messy situation. Now, unfortunately, we're beginning to see some of that. Again, we have not seen that in a long time, but we are starting to see more of that right now.
So it sounds like you don't have a lot of options if you are have a landlord, and even though it goes with the property, you want to start thinking about moving. Is that right?
It is absolutely correct, because once the mortgage holder gets involved, once the assessor's office gets involved, it becomes a much more complicated process than a landlord who may or may not just trying to sell the property out from underneath the tenant. That's not allowed in Colorado law. But once you get the mortgage holder, once you get the assessor's office involved, that becomes much more complicated. And so our advice to any of our tenants where that's happening is it's probably time to just find a new place so that we can make sure that we get another roof over your head.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good plan. Next week, why don't we talk about what your rights are relative to that security deposit you put down, and we can figure out whether you should get that back and what the landlords can use that money for. How's that sound?
That sounds great, Rick. There's lots to talk about on that front. I'll look forward to it already.
Sounds great. If you want to get a hold of Greg or his team, please reach out to him. And we appreciate you being here. Like always, Greg, thanks. We're now into the holiday season, and some people say this is a great time to go on the markets. Other people say this isn't a great time to go on the market. So we're going to have a discussion around that. And then if you decide to go on the market, what you should do in order to get your home ready, and maybe keep it a little more generic than you might otherwise in a normal year when you're not selling your home. So, Lori, we'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about whether you think this is a good time to go on the market, and if so, why?
Well, I think one reason it is a good time to go on the market is because you have less competition, because most people choose to go off the market before the holidays, so they're not interrupted by showings. So you're going to have, as a seller, you're going to have less competition with the other amount of homes on the market, unless there's some that are lingering and have not sold yet and are just kind of remnants from the fourth quarter.
And Dawn, people say that, and I mentioned this earlier, that this time of year isn't great to go on the market, but I actually think it would be awesome to go on the market because it's so pretty up in the foothills and on the west side of town. What do you think?
Yes, it is. And it's a bit of a double-edged sword. To play on the previous comment, you have more serious buyers in the wintertime. They usually have to move for work, and they're not just looking. Especially up here in the mountains. If you're coming up here and you're trudging through the snow, you're going to be a serious buyer. What I've seen up here is it's absolutely gorgeous a couple days after the snow. However, if we have showings right after a big snowstorm, it does create a burden for the sellers to get the home ready, make sure that everything's plowed and shoveled. But it is so beautiful up here, and it kind of looks like a bit of a Christmas card. So it definitely has that appeal.
Yeah, and what's interesting, especially if you're in Jeffco, maybe if you're down in Park County, this is a little different, but in Jeffco, they're really good at clearing the streets. And, whether you're in Evergreen, Conifer, Pine, those areas, I always say, since I live up here, I usually have to get my four-wheel drive out to go into the city when we have a big snow, because all the ruts and everything down there are so, seeing a house in this time of year can be a wonderful experience because it's really pretty up here. Heather, what are you seeing down in as far as whether they should go on the market this time of year?
Well, I think you're going to have again, more serious buyers and less competition, like the girls said. But I also feel like a lot of people are relocated this time of year, or going to be relocated early next year with their companies. So it's a very popular time for those buyers that have to move, not necessarily want to move. Those start coming out of the woodwork for me.
And so, of course, Heather, if you have to move, you put it on the market when you have to put it on the market, because maybe you've got a first of the year where you're moving to Phoenix or some other place where you've got to transfer. So putting your house on the market is important. You put it on when you got to get it on. Yeah. And
sometimes you don't have a choice.
Sometimes you don't have a choice. But Heather, if you decide to put it on the market this time of year, what do you recommend relative to staging it, the holiday decorations?
I ask my clients to keep their decorations at a minimum. For photographs, especially, you do not want to have Christmas trees or menorahs or anything in the photos, because it's going to timestamp it. It's going to say, oh, this was a Christmas listing. And if it doesn't sell within 30 days, our average day on market, you said, is about 49 days right now. So you really don't want to have time stamp on those photos. So many times if it's like, okay, we don't have a choice, it's snowed and it's now, one of our less snowy months, if it made it through the winter, you want to have the photos redone.
Okay. Dawn, what do you think? Are you have the same approach relative to getting the home ready and what you show in the house?
Well, yes, I would if you can, if you have the time to do the pictures prior to the sellers decorating. If you can't, again, just like Heather said, try and keep those out of the pictures because up here it could be 3 months before that house sells, and it will time stamp it. But they do want to decorate. Our sellers want to be festive. But I would tell them, keep it low key, keep it classy. Don't have the giant blow ups in your front yard. Just have it seasonal, festive, and classy, not over the top with anything, be it cartoony things, religious icons, cultural things. Just keep it kind of generic.
And Lori, what do you think relative to holiday decorations?
Well, while I think that you want to appeal to the majority of buyers out there, regardless of what their belief system is, I kind of leave that up to where my sellers are. Like if they've just put out all their Christmas decorations and decorated a tree, unless they have some real over the top decorations like the blow ups, like they were talking about, or manger scene in the front yard. I basically kind of go with that because a beautiful, well lit tree and lights in the home and outside can make it look very inviting. And it actually, that's one of the niceties of going on the market at this time of year. And then if they do survive the holiday season, I would probably just order a retake of the photos when the Christmas is over, especially if they have, if they've already taken the time to put those decorations up.
I bet a nighttime showing, Heather, would be nice if they've got the holiday lights up all around the trees and stuff.
Oh, it is a beautiful year. And I think buyers love to, if they are being relocated, for instance, looking this time of year is a beautiful time of year just to kind of show them what each little town in like the town of Parker or the town of Castle Rock or, what they do during the holidays is really inviting, I think, to somebody coming in from out of town, especially.
And I think, we may have talked about last week, from a photography standpoint, to do a twilight this time of year with the lights out and with the lights bouncing off the snow can be really set that home apart from other homes out in the market as well. So, Lori, are you finding that people are having to, that they're doing their decorations, or if they're thinking about moving, that they're actually just saying, okay, we're going to go minimalist this year?
I think if they realize that they had no choice and they're going to be moving, then they didn't bother with putting their decorations up. But then occasionally I'll have some that are just considering, do I sell this year? Or do I wait for first quarter? And then after I get done talking to them, when we establish a game plan, sometimes they change their mind. And if those people have already had their tree up and lights. And so I just kind of go with it. I mean, so it's real flexibility. I mean, I'm very flexible, and it's kind of on a case by case basis.
So that it isn't something that you say, well, I'm not going to list your home in December if you're going to have all these lights up, or other way around. You kind of go with their flow.
Exactly. Yeah, I would just reshoot it if we survive, because I do think that this the season really brings a lot of positive energy that I think can transfer to the homes that are for sale for all the reasons we've been talking about.
And of course, Dawn, the serious buyers, they're going to get a different impression of the home than they might in March, when we're still almost the same darkness and hours of daylight, but it's just, it can be really nice to have the lights up. I'm just thinking relative to, the 7-foot manger scene in the front yard.
Well, the funny thing is many of my buyers actually, when they come into a home, say, where am I going to put the Christmas tree? So that kind of eliminates one of those questions.
That's true, if they've already got it up. And I think you have a home right now that has space for like a 12-foot Christmas tree in it. That I think that's going on the market soon. That may actually they moved a front door, so they had room for that, right?
Yes, that is my best friend's house. Unfortunately, she is selling to downsize a bit, but we did pictures. Oh my gosh, Rick, we've done many sets of pictures. We did pictures in the fall because she's got some beautiful, beautiful aspens and some maples that we wanted to get we wanted to capture that. So she is decorating, and she does have a beautiful place. I believe it's for a 20-foot tree. And I just talked to her, and she has started the process. But the way she does it, it's going to look like it's at the Broadmoor. So I'm all good with that one.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be a good home to have it totally decorated, and have the home decorated. So it doesn't sound like there's any negatives but let's just put it this way. Of the three of you, how many, if they can hold off, would say just wait until after the holidays? Would you all wait, encourage that if they can wait?
I think it depends on what their holiday plans are. If they're going to be out of town, then it's actually a great time because then they won't be inconvenienced. The only problem with that up in the mountains is we would need to make sure that the snow is cleared for the showings. But if they're going to be in town and having guests, it can be burdensome and it can be intrusive. So I guess it's case by case.
Okay, so yeah, if they've got a lot of family and they can hold off, it probably makes sense that they should hold off. Would you all agree with that?
Well, I was just going to say there's more serious buyers, as we've talked about this time of year, but the negative would probably be that there's a lot fewer showings because you're competing with not just a Bronco game, but the holidays in general. And so a lot of people are preoccupied with that. But by the same token, it only takes one interested buyer for your home. And so I don't think I would ever discourage anyone from listing their home during the holidays if they wanted to.
Heather, what about you?
I wouldn't discourage somebody from doing that. If they're currently on the market and their, showings have really slowed down, I might, suggest that they take it off for a few weeks and re-up after the holidays if they have family coming in town. I mean, it is really just case by case. But I had a seller call me and she said, do I have to decorate my house for Christmas? I really don't want to drag all this stuff out. I've already packed it away. And I said, you do whatever you want to do. And no, that's not going to deter or attract buyers either way. So you're just fine. If you don't want to decorate, I'll be your excuse card.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm going to tell my husband that I just can't.
I think it would be really bad to tell them, no, the holiday lights that are in the back of the pod, you need to pull everything out and put them up.
Oh.
You definitely wouldn't want to do that. But I think this is a great time of year that people who are interested in going on the market they can get a jump on the beginning of the next year. And if past is prologue, usually January, we get a lot of new listings coming on that held off. So you might get a little less competition this time of year, which I think is a good benefit for you if you're looking to list. And of course, as we saw earlier, there's a lot of inventory. So if you're looking to buy, you've got a lot of options this time of year as well. So you're looking at buying land and you wonder, how is this going to affect how much it costs me to get a loan for it? And we have Nancy Alexander here to explain it all and tell us, is it going to cost me more in rate or other things? Do I have to put more down? How does that work if I'm just buying land to start out with?
So if you're just buying land to start out with, yes, Rick, you're right. Good question, good answer even. The interest rate is higher. because you're holding the loan for less time. They'll still put it on a 30-year amortization. However, they only want you to hold that loan for maybe 3 to 5 years max. And most land lenders don't even want to go to the 5 years because the anticipation is you're going to take that land loan and you're going to roll it into a construction loan and when you start building on that land.
So it seemed like that if you're buying land, you've got a lot more, you're not living on the land, so there's more risk there, so you're more likely to walk away from it. And is that why the rate might be higher as well?
The rate is higher because there's not an asset on it.
Oh.
Remember, mortgage loan is putting a mortgage on an asset. So putting it on the house, on the structure that you're living in. And land has no asset. It's just the land. So they want typically 30% or greater down. And they want that loan again to eventually be rolled in sooner than later into that construction loan. Remember also, you guys, when you buy land, look at what you have to do for the improvements of that land. You know, Rick, you and I both live on the mountain, so we
Right.
get the well, the road, the electrical coming in, but those are all considered to be improvements.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't finance those into your land financing.
Okay. So you would have to either pay for them with cash up front if you're not going to, or do part of your construction loan. That would be part of
Right.
those. And then you're in a totally different world with that. And so are there any tricks to making sure that you can qualify for, you just end up paying more per rate and putting more down?
Yep. There are no real tricks to qualifying. It's the same process as far as your debt to income ratio and can you make the payment, right? Remember, a lender, no matter what you're buying, land, construction, current residence, it's what is your ability to repay. So no different on land financing. They're going to say, okay, what's your ability to repay this loan? And really, what is your future plan to hold that land?
Okay, so if you're just having land for land's sake, they're probably going to be less enthused about the loan.
Shorter amortization, yes, and still that higher rate. You're going to see a higher rate than what you would on a regular mortgage rate.
Well, then next week, let's talk about construction loans and how that works, because that's a nice segue from land loans into construction loans and how that works. How's that work?
That's perfect.
Well,
Sounds
if
great.
you want to get a hold of Nancy, please reach out to her. She'll give you all sorts of great answers like she's done in the previous weeks on the Pro Show. And we appreciate your time again today. Thanks, Nancy. When you're looking to get your home ready, you need to think about bathrooms and what is involved, and that could be everything from cleaning to how do you stage them. So that's what this segment's about, and we're going to talk about what you need to do in order to get your bathrooms ready, whether that's the secondary bathrooms, the powder room, or even the primary bathroom, because that's probably the hardest one because it's the biggest usually. So I'm going to open this up to Lori first. What is one suggestion you would make as far as getting a bathroom ready?
I would say you want to have white towels and white rugs to neutralize the bathrooms and make them feel like kind of a spa situation.
Okay. Heather, what about you?
I'm all about cleanliness.
Okay.
So when I walk in to a bathroom, I don't want to see somebody's hair in the sink or, toothpaste on the mirror. I really suggest you spend extra time just every morning after you get ready in the morning, if you're using that room, just to do a once over, make sure it's clean. Toilet seats are down. And that it is just sparkling clean. That's the most important thing. Nobody gets the ick factor more than in the bathroom.
Yeah. Hopefully the toilet's clean. That would be important.
Right.
How about you, Dawn?
That too.
Well, hopefully there's not carpet in the bathroom because that's my pet peeve. But that being aside, I like to make it a spa as well. I like to have nice candles and a plush robe. And sometimes if we have a soaking tub, I will put maybe some flowers or a bottle of wine or a couple of wine glasses, just to kind of create that kind of romantic spa type of feel, like a luxury escape.
Do any of you use candles? Have candles out for showings and things like that, or not in like the primary bath? Is that something you do, Lori?
You know, I haven't before, but
She will
it
now.
just yeah. Well, it just kind of depends on where it's located and so forth. If it's a listing close to me, I just like to monitor the candles.
Yeah.
And for the
That's true.
But I think it's a good idea. Yeah, like if I have open houses, I'll bake cookies. I love to have the wonderful smell, you know. But in the bathrooms, yeah, I haven't personally. I love the flower idea. I think one of the other things, in addition to cleanliness, that is important to pay attention to is the decluttering. So oftentimes we have a lot of things like in the shower with a bunch of bottles, and I always tell my sellers to remove those and kind of put them out of sight, especially for the photos. And anything on the countertops really at a very minimum, so that you can just do a small vignette of maybe flowers, a candle lit or unlit, and one other item or something. But yeah, I think decluttering is huge.
Maybe the little electric candles, the ones that flicker.
That would be
little battery operated ones. So you don't have to worry about you're burning down the house. That would be bad.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The electric, yes.
And so do you clear out all the toiletries in your listings when you're doing showings and have those all hidden?
Well, for the most part, are you still talking to me? I just have one other, because I'll share with you. I actually listed this one, and she just used a pretty huge, I mean, I'm talking like a long, I would say 2 to 3 feet wide by a foot deep, all these toiletries. And so she for showings and for the photos, she just had it on this crate, for lack of a better word, and it fit under her bed. So she would put it under there, and then the countertop, because you want to make the whatever bathroom it is seem like there's ample space for all of the potential buyers' stuff.
So Heather, I've heard, I think Dawn was saying the white, was that Dawn saying the white rugs, or was that,
Oh, I think that was Lori, but
Lori.
Yeah, and so, but I've heard rugs, no rugs. Which way are you? I guess it may depend on the house too, huh?
If it's beautiful tile, I would say I wouldn't do rugs.
Okay.
But if sometimes it does warm up a space, if it's a very large tile floor and it looks almost weird, or the tile is really it got a crazy pattern to it or something, I think a rug really helps warm it up.
Mm-hmm. And so Dawn, if you're what about the chrome or the hardware? Is that something, if you go in and you've got time, would you recommend, if it's starting to look aged, that they should go through and change it out or modernize it? It seems like that'd be a pretty inexpensive way of updating and staging.
Yeah, those fixtures definitely make a difference, and you could just hire a handyman to switch those out, and it will instantly update a home. And I definitely think for the kitchen as well, but I know we're not talking about that. But going back to the white towels rather, I do love white fluffy towels. However, sometimes up here in the bathroom, up here in the mountains, the bathrooms are a little, how do I say, brown and earthy and a little dull. So at that point, I will bring in some towels, either like a gold towel or maybe like a teal, something, a soft tile to give it, a soft colored towel to give it a pop of color when it needs it.
It seems to me too, and any of you can take this one, that when I'm taking pictures, the hardest thing in any bathroom, especially in Colorado where we have a lot of hard water, are those glass surrounds on bathroom showers. And any suggestions on because I think they should sparkle too. I know Heather's into the cleanliness. You're all into cleanliness, but any tips for?
Yeah, I've got some suggestions.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's called, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, maybe you know the name of this, but it's called the pink stuff.
Really?
And it comes in a pink bottle, and there's two different types. There's one that's kind of a pumice.
Okay.
That you use with a pumice, and it takes those hard water stains off really, really nicely. And there's also a spray version. I had a client recently use the spray version. She didn't think it worked as well, but when she got the pasty kind, it really takes those stains off. And I would just suggest, while it's on the market, have a squeegee or a towel in there that you only use just to wipe down the shower when you're done, so you don't have those stains coming back again and again.
And Lori, of course, you might want to use the bathroom that doesn't have the glass when you're showing.
Right. I think it's called a magic sponge I've had clients rave about that really works for that hard water buildup, or that filmy thing that soap scum can leave. So yes, I would recommend they use a different bathroom possibly. And there was something else. Oh, lighting. I was just going to say, light fixtures, they update so immediately alongside of the fixtures. And when we talk about the fixtures, it's not just the faucet, but it's also the towel fixtures and all that kind of thing. And if they're brass, it would be great to change those to chrome or nickel, or just get rid of the brass. And then same with the lighting. Like if they have brass light fixtures with those old-fashioned bulbs from 2000 or before, it's not that expensive to hire an electrician. Just get those switched out, and it's huge differences, especially in those, I would imagine.
I might have a suggestion too. I had an older home. I had a 1977 home, and every room in the place was updated except one of the secondary bathrooms, and it was a brown bathtub. Drove me insane. We had it re-ceramicked for about $500, and I'm telling you, it looked brand new.
Wow.
It looked beautiful. And a lot of times, this same contractor who did this work, I had a client that had a lot of kind of rust coming through, or it looked really dingy. It was just over time. He cleaned it, but it was just so old that we had the tile painted with a similar kind of epoxy, and I'm telling you, it looked like a brand new shower. So that it's an expensive, easy. It was done in a day. Anyway, you can hire it, and you could do it yourself. There's some DIY materials you can purchase at Home Depot. But I suggest having it professionally done, because it is quite a process and a mess, and you don't want to get it done wrong.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea, because then you're updating, and I assume the same would be true with like hardware on the drawers, if those are dated. That's another relatively inexpensive item. Lori?
Well, I was also going to say, many times sellers will have updated their cabinetry. Let's say they have oak cabinets in the kitchen, but then they leave the bathrooms. I would say it's very, very important to update the bathrooms alongside of doing the kitchen cabinets. So, because when you walk into the bathrooms and they're oak cabinetry doors, it looks dated suddenly, versus just sometimes there's different paint packages that are pretty inexpensive, and so that does wonders. And again, just like the previous agent was saying, I would hire it professionally done, and it really lasts long and it looks wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's important. Is you want to give that impression that they don't have anything to do. And maybe it's just me, because I've seen so many bathrooms in the thousands of homes. The two things. One is dirty, and the second is those stains on the glass showers, because if I ever walk into a house that I was going to buy and I saw a glass shower, even if it was pristine, my brain goes first to that. So it's always great if you don't have that, if that coming to the buyer's attention, that there are lots of tools to use now and things you can spray after you take a shower so you don't get those hard water stains. But people get busy and they don't necessarily do that. Do you guys do the towel on the bathtub technique, or do you do any of that, or on the counters? Heather?
I like to roll towels.
Roll?
I don't know. I really like putting a nice like tri-roll. So there's like two and then one on top, laying a bar of soap on top of a folded towel or something like that. It just looks really crisp.
That's cool. How about you, Lori?
I like the rolls for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen the bath towel over over like the soaking tub in like a primary suite.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm not opposed to that, but again, I think it's a case by case basis. Depends on so many different things.
Well, I'm just trying to give these people an opportunity to help you stage their homes as they're so make your lives a little bit easier. But obviously, the bathrooms are key. Kitchen and baths, as they say, are the things that make the difference. I'm thinking toilets are a big issue, right, Dawn? That you want to make sure they're clean, don't have the water stains, all those.
I have to tell my clients, hey guys, before showing, please make sure all the toilet seats are down. It is like one of my pet peeves, along with the carpet in the bathroom. But going on, there's one thing that I wanted to mention as well that is something that really makes a big difference. A lot of times the grout will get discolored, and it really makes that bathroom look dirty and old, and it looks sometimes like it's mold, which it's not. It's just discolored. So that's another thing that I recommend to my clients. If you could have a handyman take out the old grout and redo it. And those enamel sprayers, oh my goodness, I've used those for showers that were like a horrible color. And we could easily, if they were in good shape, the tiles, you can easily have them painted and it looks brand new.
Well, that's good. Lori?
I think, Rick, what you had said earlier in that is so important for, especially in this market that we find ourselves, for potential buyers that see the bathrooms or any of the home, that it's very little for them to have to do once they move in. So I always tell my sellers, anything you can kind of take care of that is not going to be to eliminate like the potential buyer's eye going to like the spot in the shower or the brass fixtures or whatnot. I think all of that is so important to do before you list and before you have pictures, certainly. And
we'll save this episode and play it again in 2 years when brass is back in for some reason.
Waiting for oak. I'm waiting for the oak to come back.
Oak, and the tile, big, thick, grouted countertops. That was I did a really, really high-end home where everything but the basement bathroom had not been updated, and it still had that 80s tile in it. I'm like, this is probably a $3 million home. I'm like, so close. You were so close, but it happened.
That's so expensive to get rid of that too, to tear that out.
Yeah,
like in flooring, especially.
Yeah, exactly. So the good news is that bathrooms are important, and if you take care, they can really make a difference in helping you sell. And the good news is we have 3 experts here who can help you get there as well, and get your tile ready, your bathrooms ready to sell your home. And so that you might want to give them a call and they can help you get it ready as well. The first home today that we're going to look at that's for sale is 114 Patty Drive in Evergreen. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home with 2,916 square feet. And Dawn Zalfa, tell us about this home.
Oh, this home is a great location. The lot is beautiful with aspens and mountain views. It is a very quiet little community. And the best part is it's so close to everything, but yet you feel worlds away. You're 10 minutes down to Evergreen Lake, down to the golf course, close to all the shops and dining, and yet you're about an hour from the airport, an hour from skiing. It's a beautiful house. It has a gorgeous moss rock fireplace. It has a very open floor plan. It definitely would be perfect for anybody. You could utilize the lower level as possibly multi-generational. There is an open kitchen that has a nice nook, very, very sunny, and you have beautiful, beautiful light and views from the backyard. And it's perfect for your pups.
Does the dog come with it?
I wish that dog is such a sweetheart. So downstairs there's a powder room, but it would be very easy to add a shower. And that has entrance from below. There's a 1-car garage and a storage room, which is lovely because most houses up here are lacking storage. So that storage room is wonderful. There's a workstation downstairs. It would be perfect for an office or homeschooling. It has a fenced area for your dogs, beautiful trees and beautiful aspens, and just a quiet, nice lifestyle.
I love the rock outcropping right there on the right-hand side. Just a great property. If you want to take a look at this, please give Dawn a call. I'm sure she'd love to show it to you. And the next home that is for sale is at 4869 Harness Court in Parker. And it's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 5,116 square foot home. And Heather is going to tell us a little bit about this home.
Yes, so this home is located in a golf course community known as Pradera. It's a very prestigious community with a golf club, but residents also enjoy a private pool and clubhouse as well. So anyway, it has a formal living and formal dining room. New carpet throughout the home. They did just have the hardwood floors refinished that are just gorgeous because they're walnut. They're really, really beautiful. This home has a main floor office, a very large kitchen, and a large island. Newer dishwasher. Some of their appliances are newer. Their refrigerator is included. Large eating area with a nice bay window. And lots of windows.
Oh, yeah.
Something you'll also notice is the fireplace and different places you could put a TV in the family room. This is the main floor half bath and a view from upstairs. It's got a beautiful circular staircase, sweeping staircase with high volume ceilings. This is the primary bedroom, which has vaulted ceilings and a nice cozy fireplace. It also has a private ensuite with the 5-piece ensuite and large walk-in closet. This is one of the secondary bedrooms upstairs. They all have nice space.
Yeah, they're quite large.
One has a private ensuite, and then 2 of the bedrooms share a Jack and Jill style bath with dual sinks and a separate door to the tub. I love the yard. They've spent a lot of money on landscaping over the years. They are original owners, so they've been in this home for, I think, 12 or 13 years. But they have planted a ton of trees. So it's very, very private between neighbors and a nice size yard as well.
This is a great home and in a great community of Pradera in Parker is amazing. And if you'd like to see this home, please reach out to Heather. I'm sure she'd love to show it to you. And thanks for bringing it to us today. Thanks, Heather. Well, this has been a really great show. I appreciate these ladies being a part of this. We call it the Pro Show because they're professional, and you really want to call them and find out how they can help you either buy your next home or get your home ready to sell, whether it's now during the holidays or after the first of the year. So reach out to any of these three. They'd love to talk to you, and we appreciate your being on the show today. And if you want to see any of the previous shows, you can go to theproshow.com, and you can listen to it on the podcast or watch it on YouTube. There's just lots of options to watch previous shows and get lots of great information from the professional agents that we have on the show. And appreciate you being on with us again this week, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks.